His lawyers, I'm not sure how they felt about last night, but.
Yeah, I think when you look at it from a perspective, just pull out from a legal perspective. You're having, if you're one of the lawyers having your client talk on an interview like this, it's always a concern. But this is also Donald Trump. This is also the man who makes his case to people. If you look at that interview and you go out to the restaurant in my district, part of Georgia and other places, they say, here he's just being honest. He said, I was trying. It framed the case last night. If anybody had any doubt about what Donald Trump's defense is going to be, they saw it yesterday. This was a framed case. He said, we were working on it. The problem came in, and he mentioned something that he slipped it in, Cheryl, if you notice. He said, then all of a sudden they went and got a subpoena. It was almost, now, you can say, well, why didn't he just comply? I mean, this is the same DOJ that he'd been fighting with and had been attacked by for so many years. There was not a real reluctance there to work, but what he's saying was, we were working with it, we're trying. And then all of a sudden, they just took it out of the game. At that point, it does change the game and makes this whole case different if he obstructed. That's what the DOJ is saying. But he framed the case yesterday very well.
But also, too, I think, again, I go back to that when he said, well, this was declassified. I don't think that's the case. And Brett did ask him. There were some very sensitive documents about, well, Iran, for example, and that they wanted it back. I mean, these are very serious charges. I don't want to downplay that at all. I mean, this is serious for him, and he's got a big fight ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a lawyer, Cheryl, I stay away from criminal law, but I will tell you that the New York cases were obviously a lot more politically motivated. The bent was
the
clearly
Alvin Bragg case, yeah.
Absolutely, and this Jack Smith indictment and potentially a second indictment, understandably, is being worked on. I think they are legitimate and they are serious. The actual documentation alone in the indictment is weighty, but I do think on the legal issue, obviously, is it the Presidential Records Act or is it the Espionage Act, which we've never seen used in this context before? And certainly the Presidential Records Act is applicable to a presidential's papers that are with his person. So this is very interesting. We have a weaponized Justice Department, and it's just the fact, and we see the House doing work on that and having that committee. And so we'll see. This is very interesting.
What's also interesting, real quick, is that every time he gets indicted, this is twice now, maybe if there's three coming, he raises more money. He fundraises off of this and is pulling it. Look at this. Yeah. I mean, after a second indictment, should he continue to run for president? 83 Republicans say yes.
Yeah.
So it's having the opposite effect of what maybe the DOJ is trying to do, which is to, bury him.
Well, that's an interesting statement you just made.
Yeah.
Is that what the DOJ is trying to do?
Exactly.
That's the very issue of weaponization of government. Is the DOJ trying to attack a person who's running for president again? But I'll take it even a step further here. This, when you talk about using this, others is what people are seeing out there now in many of these instances, whether it would be the Alvin Bragg case here in New York, it was this case here, is it's not being applied what they view as the same.
Yeah.
Whether you go back to, and again, people go, Hillary Clinton, but let's just go back to Joe Biden, who there's a picture in his Corvette with the boxes sitting in a background. You have Mike Pence, who was just relieved of any culpability.
But Mike Pence and Joe Biden gave him back.
Donald
Trump didn't. Just saying.
But here's my problem. The papers that Joe Biden had were when he was a senator. He had no right to them to start with. Period. I mean, so this is not even a presidential thing. So I think this, again, all of this is why you see those numbers like they do. They view it as unequal treatment. And what you said was very true.
His fundraising jumps the minute these indictments come down.
So true.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break.